In 1965, a spacecraft was flying over the Sahara Desert. Inside it, two astronauts were gazing down at the Earth in disbelief. They had spotted something in the middle of the Sahara that was difficult to believe. These two astronauts, James McDavid and Edward White, saw an enormous human-like eye structure in the middle of the desert, made of sand. To their astonishment, there was a pupil in the center of this eye, making it look almost like a real eye. Welcome back to another Global Facts video. This eye-shaped formation is 265K long and 70K wide, covering an area of more than 18500 square kilometers, which is even bigger than some major cities. For context, this is large enough to fit around 30 cities like Mumbai and 5 cities like Karachi. The pupil of the eye, which is a perfect circular shape, measures 40K in diameter. This unique and mysterious structure can only be viewed from space and is known as the Eye of the Sahara or the Richat structure. You might think that this is the result of a massive asteroid impact, but scientists have never found any evidence of such an event. This is why the Richat structure continues to puzzle the scientific community to this day. No one knows how this perfect circular structure was formed in the middle of the desert, thousands of miles away from any other similar formation. However, historians point out that the maps of the lost city of Atlantis seem to match the shape of the Eye of the Sahara. There are not just one or two, but many maps of Atlantis that describe the city as having rings, each ring connected by bridges, with water flowing beneath them. The shape of the Eye of the Sahara closely resembles this description. As for its location, about 2,500 years ago, Greek historian Herodotus made a map of the world, and it shows a city named Atlantis in the western part of Africa. If this map is compared to modern world maps, Atlantis's location matches the Richat structure's position. Even more evidence comes from a map created 2,000 years ago by Roman geographer Pomponius Mela, which also shows a city called Atlantis in the same location. The orientation of this map is eastward, but if it were rotated with north at the top, you'd notice that it shows the area northwest of the Sahara Desert, exactly where the Eye of the Sahara is located. From the ground, the rings of the Richat structure are so vast that it's hard to grasp their scale, and archaeologists haven't found any evidence suggesting that an ancient civilization once lived here, even 200 years ago. Still, this incredible structure remains unmatched anywhere else in the world, which is why it remains a mystery for scientists. But the Sahara Desert hides even more secrets. When you think of the Sahara, images of scorching heat, endless sand dunes, and intense dryness come to mind. However, the Sahara wasn't always this barren. The total area of the Sahara Desert is about 9 million square kilometers, equivalent to the size of the United States or Europe. This vast region is shared by 11 countries and continues to expand. In fact, the Sahara's area increases by about 10% every 100 years. But why is it expanding? And where did all the sand come from? One of the most stunning parts of the Sahara is the White Desert in Egypt. During the day, this place can resemble the Arctic region with its white sand and limestone formations. At first glance, it might seem as though these formations were designed, but in reality, millions of years ago, this area used to be the bottom of an ocean. Around 250 million years ago, during the age of dinosaurs, the area now known as the Sahara was once covered by the Tethys Ocean. Over millions of years, the weight of the ocean's water caused a layer of limestone to form at the ocean floor. When the continents shifted and the ocean receded, the winds began to erode the limestone layer, and this eventually turned the area into the white desert we see today. This is not the only story of how the Sahara's sands formed. In places where there used to be sandstone, the sand turned into the orange-colored dunes we see now. Interestingly, the Sahara wasn't always a desert. Fossils of plants and trees have been discovered beneath the sand, suggesting that the area was once capable of supporting life. This indicates that the Sahara as we know it wasn't always a desert. Around 2.6 million years ago, the Earth entered the last ice age, And during this time, the Sahara experienced a period known as the African humid period, where it was lush and green. Back then, the Sahara was filled with meadows and lush grasslands, and rivers flowed through the land. If these rivers were still around today, they would be the largest lakes on Earth. Animals that are typically found in rainforests lived in the Sahara, and this was also the time when early humans migrated to the area, drawn by its fertile lands. The climate allowed for agriculture and animal husbandry, making it a livable place, similar to the conditions we see in Europe today. The Ice Age ended about 100 years ago, and as the Earth's temperature slowly began to rise, the Sahara's once fertile lands started to dry up. By around 4000 BC, nature started reclaiming the greenery, and the desert began expanding again. The lush green Sahara of the past is now only a distant memory, but its remnants can still be seen in the Nile River, the longest river in the world at 6,695 km. As the Sahara transformed into a desert, it had a profound effect on the people who lived in and around it. Ancient Egyptians considered the Nile River to be sacred, and its source remained a mystery for many years. Today, the Nile River flows through 11 countries, and it is only slightly shorter than the Amazon River. Africa has always had a mild climate during the ice ages, meaning that life could continue here, unlike in other regions that froze over. This is why Africa holds some of the oldest human civilizations, and many believe that humanity itself began on this continent. The oldest human skeleton ever found, from around 3.2 million years ago, was discovered in Ethiopia in 1974, confirming that early humans lived in Africa. In the Sahara Desert, there's a hidden garden known as the Nd Plateau, which has been a stopover point for travelers and animals for thousands of years. This oasis, surrounded by scorching sand, is a paradise for nomadic people. It has fresh water, shade, and a respite from the heat. Here, ancient rock art can still be found, depicting animals like cattle that once roamed the area. Another mysterious aspect of the Sahara is the discovery of unusual glass stones found in the region. These stones were once thought to be extraterrestrial in origin, but it was later determined that they formed here when an asteroid impact melted the sandstone, turning it into glass. These stones are known as Libyan desert glass, and they remain a fascinating puzzle for researchers. The Sahara Desert, while it may seem like a barren wasteland, is full of secrets that continue to mystify scientists and explorers alike. Despite its extreme conditions, the desert plays an important role in the Earth's ecosystem, and its history is one of both extreme dryness and life-giving greenery.